So I make a lot of videos on this channel where I document my own journey, where I show tips and tricks, but I also like to make videos where I find technology that I genuinely like and genuinely can endorse. And this video is about a tool called VoiceDash. Now, everyone's been talking about Wispr, and VoiceDash I came across recently as a more affordable option compared to Wispr. Now, I want to stress just from the start of this video, this has been sponsored, so I want to disclose any of my potential biases there. However, I did come across this tool, and like every single one of the tools that I use, I always actually use them before I actually talk about them on this channel. Anyway, for those who are new here, my name's Gavin. I run an email and SMS marketing agency, and I make these videos really to document my own journey and provide tips and tricks to people who are in similar positions to I, or are in a position that I was in, and hopefully just provide a little bit more of a roadmap. So let's talk about it. Wispr and VoiceDash. I mean, that's like the real comparison that we're making. And if you've been living under a rock, basically Wispr and VoiceDash, what they are is essentially transcription tools. You press a button on your keyboard and you transcribe your text into words. Now, this is a massive unlock for anybody who types a bunch. For me personally, I'm probably writing anywhere between 15,000 words a day to 20,000 words a day, and that takes a lot of time. And I think at the time of recording this right now, my ability to type, I'm at about like 60 to 70 words per minute, okay? And that's pretty bad, I'll freely admit that. But at the same time, when I use tools like VoiceDash, I'm able to ramp that up to about 200 words per minute, which is incredibly quick compared to what I was doing before. And so it becomes a massive time save and efficiency. If anything, this tool has increased my efficiency more than anything I've used before. All these tools, these transcription tools. Now, VoiceDash and Wispr are very similar products. However, they differ in terms of their pricing. And I make this video more for those who are trying to scale and are growing teams and are also at the same time trying to, save on margin. For me, we have a bunch of expenses of, the $84,000 we make every single month. About 50% of that goes straight to expenses, right? So we have about a 50% gross margin. And any opportunity I can find to reduce those costs, I jump on. And so the real value add here when I compare VoiceDash as opposed to Wispr, and for those of you who haven't checked it out, check it out, there's a link in the bio, is the pricing. So let me quickly break down the prices here and highlight to you when I would recommend switching over. So Wispr charges $15 per user on their monthly plan, which as you grow a business, it becomes considerably more expensive. For example, for my team, we have 14 full-time staff at the time of recording and an additional 6 part-time staff. And if I were to buy the plan on Wispr for my entire team, it gets pricey. So here's a breakdown, all right? Here's Wispr's pricing, and then I'm gonna quickly give you VoiceDash's pricing, and then I'm gonna explain really the subtle nuances between these two platforms. Wispr. So if you have a team of 3 users and you're paying on their monthly plan, $15 per user, you're looking at about $45 per month or a yearly price of about $540. If you ramp that up to 10 users, you're looking at about $150 a month or $1,800 a year. If it's 25 users, you're looking at $375 a month or $4,500 per year. Now, VoiceDash as an individual is the same as Wispr, but when you start looking at it from a team perspective, it gets a lot more affordable, along with offering dedicated support. So let me break that down. 5 users is $29. 10 users is $1,440 per year, and 25 users is $3,600 per year. And when you start ramping up, you get to that 25 user number, you're saving roughly $1,000 per year on your subscription tools, all right? That's pretty big, it's significant. VoiceDash also has an Android app, which they recently launched in record time. And one of the things I do like about this tool is they have a community feedback platform where you can provide feedback to the actual developers and they take that and implement it. And one of the good things about this platform as well is they're not really a massive company like that of Wispr, right? They're not, your tickets don't just go into the void. People actually read them and they do implement that feedback. Now, 2 things I want to mention. First of all, one of the big values of these platforms is the latency between when you speak and when the text is then written out. And I actually did a quick comparison on the latency between these 2 platforms, which you'll see right now. So here's a live example of me explaining and showing the latency between VoiceDash and Wispr. So we have both apps on currently, and this is currently using VoiceDash. I'm gonna say the exact same sentence here. Hello, my name is Gavin, and I like to eat chocolate. There we go. That was the latency for VoiceDash. Now let's try with Wispr. Great, so now I have Wispr open, and let's do this again. Hello, my name is Gavin, and I like to eat chocolate. Almost the same, if not slightly slower, to be honest. So that's a quick example of the latency there. So as you can see, they're almost identical actually, and there's no difference, to be honest. So from a latency perspective, no issues there. I want to be fully transparent though on one thing. One thing I do think needs to be updated, and I have suggested this, and I believe this is going to get updated in the future as well, is when you are speaking and you say somebody's name, for example, sometimes those names can come out incorrect because it's a name, it's not an actual word. And when you update that name, unlike in Wispr, there is no auto feedback loop yet. So if you say something, like for example, Gavin, and I say, hey, my name is Gavin, and it spells my name incorrectly because it references a dictionary that exists. When you update it, that update doesn't get fed back into the learning model just yet. And that is something that does need to be updated. But apart from that, these tools are identical, except more affordable. So I highly recommend checking it out. There's a link in the description. I use it, I've used it, works just like Wispr, like no complaints. Highly recommend it. There's a link in the bio. Once again, want to be fully transparent about my biases here. This video has been sponsored. However, I have run through the product, as you can see in that screen recording I showed you earlier, and it works. It runs exactly as it said, and also they are updating new features pretty consistently. And I really do have to say, one of the things I like is they offer dedicated support when you start going onto these paid plans, depending on the plan that you're on. And on top of that, the community feedback loop is something that I think a lot of these bigger tech platforms seem to miss. And when you're a smaller company like VoiceDash, you kind of have to lean into that angle a little bit more. And I think it becomes a really nice, unique selling proposition to people like myself and hopefully you, where it's point of difference in that you are actually updating things based directly on people's support, or rather support tickets, and you're able to act a lot more agile and nimbly because you're not having to go through like a bunch of levels of bureaucracy or you have a bunch of tickets and things there's like a disconnect between the customer base and the developer team. Anyway, check the video out. Let me know if you have any questions. Once again, I make these videos really just to document my own journey, share tips and tricks, strategies. I make 2 videos every single week. Subscribe to the channel, check out VoiceDash, link in the description, and we'll see you in the next video.